you guys outside of the ring have been involved with doing various acts of charity, have done charity work and have volunteered over the years. What kinds of things have you done to help out in your community?
So I'm very involved with the community. I'm very fortunate. I've been pimping copiers and printers. When I got out of wrestling full time, I started leasing copiers and printers. Been doing that 23 years now. I was with one company for 8, and the company I'm with now I've been with for 15. So the company I'm with now is philanthropic. We give a third of our profits back to the community. So it kind of forced me into getting involved with the community. So I work with a lot of children's organizations. The biggest one, and the one that's dearest to my heart, is called Junior Achievement of South Florida. They basically help teach kids about entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and work readiness. And some of these kids are just amazing what they're doing. I work with Boys and Girls Club. I work with Flight Center, Vita Nova, that help with human trafficking and helping kids that are aging out of foster care. So I do a lot with them, and I go and I mentor kids. I do public appearances with them, and I go and I sit down and I do meet and greets and things like that. But especially with Junior Achievement, because the cool thing about them is, like, one of the examples I can give you, they had this one program where it's like Shark Tank. They actually call it Spark Tank. But these kids in these schools, they compete against one another. They actually have to come up with a real product. They have to create a product. They have to invent it, and then they have to take it. They have to sell it. They have to get investors. They have to manufacture it. It's the whole thing, as if you were watching someone on Shark Tank. And they do it locally, and then it goes to like regional, and then the one I work with down here in South Florida is actually the largest in the world. And every year they send 2 or 3 schools to nationals in DC to compete for these products. So to help be a part of that and watching these kids grow, and I can tell you this, I wish I had someone teach me about financial literacy when I was in high school, because I'd be in a totally different position now. I mean, where I'm at right now, but I'm just saying the money that we were making when we were in WWE back then, like, I would have done different things with it. Like those kids now at the Performance Center for WWE, they have financial analysts that help them out. They have all these other things. And again, I know things evolve and you grow and things change. But being able to go down and volunteer and having one kid come up to me when I'm done and like thank me and say, what you said hit me, this part touched me. And like, I was helping these kids at Junior Achievement, and this one kid told me when he got done, he was from a not so great community. And he said to me, he goes, because of today and because of your help, he goes, my family will never do without. He goes, and I'll never go without a job. I mean, and that's a kid in 8th grade. So to me, that's what it's about. And it's my way. And I'm fortunate that I work for a company that allows me to do it. But at the same time, I get so much more out of it, just knowing that I'm making some kind of positive impact.
Definitely seems like it. Thrasher?
I mean, I've only done like basic stuff, like we have something down here as a food bank called Feed Florida. I've done help with them by stuffing bags, stuff like that through work here at the gym that I work at now. Basic things with even donating pizzas when I was in the pizza business and stuff like that, which I'm not anymore. So, just basic things like that. And, we'll go to, like Chaz said, we'll go to camps and stuff like that and talk and wrestle and just talk to people and stuff like that. I don't think it's so, I think a lot of it is just, just being nice to people. And I think that, you never know what somebody's going through. So why try to make anything worse? Why don't you just smile, say hello to somebody, hold a door open, let somebody in on traffic. Just something as basic as just being a good person is something that I think is lost today. So
it really just kind of goes a long way. And making someone's day is very important, because you just never know in somebody's life if they're struggling or if they're having a bad day or whatever. It takes one person to help somebody, turn that frown into a smile. So
the best part is when you're at the airport and Glenn walks over and just hugs random people and says, "It looks like," he just hugs people.
It's funny. I think that's why. So I work for a gym in Florida. It's called UFit Gyms. It's just based out of Florida. It's not very large. It has 60 locations. But I think that, I worked here in 2011 to 2018. I left because I went back into pizza, and then I left that and came back. I think that's why I enjoy like this atmosphere so much, is because you do have a chance to change people. And I've been that person that struggled with weight and stuff like that. And there's times that I still struggle with it to today. Um, so I like being able to help somebody, whether they're paying for it or not, just to get them, hey, maybe you should try this, or hey, let me help you with it, one of my coaches, or just something like that. So I think that's what draws me to this industry, is just helping somebody.
Yeah, I mean, and the gym is a perfect place for it because you meet so many people all the time, and you're talking.
Not always the best people, though.
You're always meeting people. You're giving them pointers. You're working with them, and it's about techniques, and it builds up confidence.
Yeah, it definitely changes.
I just know me with the way I was brought up. Like my dad was there, but he wasn't there. And again, parents back then, they didn't know any different.
Different.
I just wanted to try and make things like my son's 21 now, and he's actually teaching me stuff because he just, there's so much more ways to figure things out. But my goal with him was always to make him better than me. And I think I've done that, and I think it's because of the way I was brought up, because I always thought with him, when something happened, I go, what would my dad do? And I do the total opposite. But I think kids nowadays, I look at some of these kids that come from underprivileged neighborhoods when I am at Boys and Girls Club and at Junior Achievement, and I'm working with these different organizations, and I go, they may have that same situation at home that I had. Like, again, my dad was there, but he wasn't there because when he was home, he just sat on the porch and smoked cigarettes and drank coffee. There was no help. There was no guidance there. So that's kind of how I look at it. And like I said, if I can impact one kid when I'm there, to me, it makes the world a better place. And listen, we're not going to change the entire world because there's way too many morons out there. But if I can do it one kid at a time,
yeah, and common sense isn't so common anymore.
What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
I think it's that. I just think it's just knowing, like if I had, like I said, every time I get at least one kid who comes up to me and says, thank you. Or, if I'm able with my company I work with called Dex Imaging, DEX Imaging, if I'm able with them, helping out and helping someone who, either was homeless or who came out of, one of my favorite things to do also is the kids aging out of foster care. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but if you're in foster care, it's the day you turn 18 or the day you graduate from high school, they hand you a black trash bag. They throw all your stuff in it and they say, be off, you're gone. So I work with organizations. I have a woman on my team, Jody, who's amazing. She's really passionate about that. And so because of her, I'm able to work with a lot of these organizations to help these kids. So like for me, I collect clothes. Like when I'm done with certain clothes, or I'm like, all right, I haven't worn this suit in a while, or I have a hanger system in my closet where I switch to hangers every so often. But like after 6, 7, 8, 9 months, if it's on the same hanger and I haven't changed it, that means I don't need it because I haven't worn it. So I give it to these kids that are aging out so they can have nice clothes while they're going to have to try and get jobs and do job interviews. So those kids there, like I work with them. I help them with, doing job interviews. Like I'll do a mock interview with them. I help them with, setting up LinkedIn and different social media stuff because, social media is huge because everyone looks at it. So you got to have a good brand. So to me, that's just, I love being able to give back. I love being able to help. I love when they're done and I go back and I see them and they're like, oh my God, like I just got this job and it's an amazing job. And, it's not, it's the thank you get and you see it and you see them be able to grow and get better. They come back, you go 6 months, like you go back 6 months later and they're like, they're graduating and they're like, now they're graduating top of their class. And you just feel like you were able to help with that, like one little thing.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely having those success stories really has to make you feel good inside, because you've changed their life for the better, and you're able to see them go on their way and make it in the world.
Well,
So
the other part of it also is like, when I do go out, because I do a lot of these events and I do a lot of networking, and part of what I do because of that is I bring other donors in. And then I'm able to talk passionately about it, and then they understand it. Then they come see it. Okay, now I'm bringing another donor in who's going to be able to, a company that's going to be able to donate money to help keep these things funded, because they're all nonprofits. They're all so they're not there for profit. They're there because and I know, like with Junior Achievement, it breaks all the way down. For every dollar that's donated to Junior Achievement of South Florida, 93 cents of it goes to the kids. 93 cents of that dollar goes to the kids. So, I mean, just knowing that is just an amazing thing.
definitely is. Thrasher, do you have anything to add?
Nope. Nothing. I mean, it's just being able to help people. I think, it's a good feeling. I mean,
I work with another group called ARC, and they actually came to me and they were like, "Hey, we're doing a WWE day." So Glenn and I will go together. We get in full gimmick, and ARC is mentally challenged kids who actually take these kids and teach them how to cook. They become cooks. They get into culinary stuff. They actually help teach them how to get jobs out, in restaurants and things like that. So when we went one time, and I'll get Glenn, and we get in full gimmick. We bring the belts with us, and just, you see it and you hear their stories, and you just listen to their stories, and you kind of chime in when you can to help out. But sometimes just sitting there and being there is better. And actually, Glenn's way better at those than I am, because I get even more, trying to think of the right way to say this. I guess I get a little more reserved in situations like that. I get a little more uncomfortable because I know what they're going through. And I'm like, what do you say to someone who's sitting there going through all this stuff and going, say, how's your day? Like, Glenn's got a way of bringing that out in them, getting them to talk about it. While I kind of just sit in the background and like just kind of chime in or help out where I can. So it's just different, because it's like when we were with WWF, we were in Philly, we went to Children's Hospital, and they videoed us and then put us on the news, and you could clearly see on my face looking at these kids, like I just had this look of like, oh shit, like what these kids are going through. And Glenn's able to, his personality is different than mine, where he's able to get these kids laughing, and inside it may be affecting him, but it doesn't show on his face. Me, everything shows on my face.
Well, also at that time, I also had kids and stuff like that, and sometimes you have to just step back and realize that they just might need a hello, or just to make them laugh, so they can forget about anything that's going on, inside, outside, or how they're feeling, or anything like that. Yeah, I love going to see kids and anything to do with that. I love that.